Wake that ass up
early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got some special guests joining us this morning.
Yes, indeed.
The Black Men's Survival Guide Project.
Yeah.
We have Phil, Steve, and I don't want to pronounce your name, brother. Asa?
No, I'm Tef. Asa couldn't make it this morning.
Yeah, Tef.
You scared to say them last names? You scared to say Agnew?
No, Agnew, Pargett, and Tef.
That's not right? That's not right, Phil?
No, that's right. That's spot on.
That's right. That's right. And we're black men build.
Black men, I could read.
Say Steve last name then.
I said it already. I didn't say anything. Pargett.
He held it down.
Pargett. I said it right.
Y'all got the Black Man Survival Guide. God damn it, we need that right now. Tell us what that is.
Well, that's coming up. We're about to launch that next week. The initiative is called Black Men Build. Okay. And Black Men Build is a place for Black men to engage in the world as an organized force this year and moving forward. And so under the realization that Black men face, we say, 1 million ways to die in this country, from natural disease to unnatural disease, right? The survival guide is what we're going to be hitting the streets with beginning next week and moving on. And we're officially launching on Monday.
So can you tell us how the survival guide was put together? I'm interested to hear just the whole process of it.
Yeah, well, over the past couple of months, there's been over a dozen Black men. You know, Black Men Build represents a wide group of us that are community organizers, artists, creatives, and people that are coming together to grapple with issues that are challenging Black men today. And, you know, we started this project in the midst of COVID. So we began by putting together a guide for community safety while we're facing a global health pandemic. Well, at the same time, we know that we're dealing with a number of different issues, including police violence. So the Black Men Survival Guide is, you know, a lot of painstaking work by brothers that are coming together to put together something that could be really useful in this time, when we're not only facing a pandemic of, you know, health and economic, but also police violence. So, you know, what you're going to see when we put out this survival guide on Monday is a guide that talks about how we can be safe during COVID, but it also talks about our mental and spiritual wellness and community defense and safety, because in times like right now, all that we have is us and our communities, and we're trying to get on one accord right now.
What do you think the building blocks are for the perfect plan to achieve unity and equality and prosperity for Black people in America?
I think in our case, what we're trying to achieve is just a little bit of alignment. I think a lot of times why a lot of projects like this fail is because people let the brothers that put it together, that the people, Martin Luther King them or Malcolm X them, and you start to try to play a performative role, a theatrical role that doesn't service the people nor yourself. So I think with us, what we're trying to do, we're not trying to come at it and say that we did all the alchemy and the political science worthy of solving the equation. Mm-hmm. We're just saying that we're some Black men who came together that are at least trying, and we're inviting other Black men across the plethora of identities, from the Moors to the Hebrews, from the flat earthers to the universe doesn't exist.
It's hard to fuck with the flat earth niggas, man.
I'm with you on that.
We need all of us, though.
Well, you know what? Yeah. My bad, Tef.
No, I'm just saying that we understand, man, that there's like so many different universes within brothers coexist, and all too often when we try to come together, our identity filibusters the plan. So we're just saying, hey, we want some alignment.
Mm-hmm. Now, it shouldn't just be about survival, though, right? It's a shame that we have to think about just surviving, because it should be about thriving also. Mm-hmm. And I think it sucks that you have to teach kids now how to go out and even just be able to come back home. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the day and age that we live in. And some people don't understand that. I was telling a story about a comedian, a stand-up comic, who was talking about Dave Chappelle and how Dave Chappelle had to explain to a white woman in the audience about police brutality, because some people just don't understand it. You know, we interviewed Rush Limbaugh the other day, and he doesn't think that white supremacism exists. Yeah. So what do you say about not just surviving, but also thriving? Do you think that we first have to start with just even being able to make it home?
You know, I mean, first and foremost, I don't think anything that Rush Limbaugh says occupies any space in our mind, right? Because Rush Limbaugh has a particular purpose in the world. He wants to come on you all show. I want to see when he invites y'all on his show, right? He wants access.
He was actually on his show.
It was
Yeah.
a simulcast.
It
He did
aired on his show. Yeah,
Yeah, it was a
it aired on
simulcast.
his show. It was simulcast.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
That's
look,
things people don't know, but we did that to get on his show. We don't care about him or what we do, but it's on his show.
okay.
I didn't care about being
I respect that.
Yeah. I respect that, and I'm sad that I didn't know that, right? But the point is, with Rush Limbaugh, he occupies a space in the world that is about convincing the world that we gaslighting all of us, right? That what we experience historically, what we experience every day when we leave the house is not real. So it is sad, Angela, that we got to start with survival. But we are of the belief that when we start with an alignment, right, with an understanding of the current context and conditions that we're all living under, right, that no matter what you believe in the world, whether it's flat earth, whether you believe that we are the original man, which we are, but whatever your belief is, we all live in the country that says no matter what you believe in your head, what I see in my eyes on your skin is deadly. And so we wanted to start at a place where we say, yeah, it is survival, but we are getting on the same page so we can engage in the world as an organized force. And right now, the Rush Limbaughs, the white supremacists of the world, they benefit from us being scattered on the sidelines, watching while the world is moving, right? We're being used as pawns. Black men are being used as pawns, right? Against ourselves, against our lovers, against our wives, against our communities. And so this is an insertion in the world that says, look, let's get on the same page about where we stand, right? About where we are. And then let's plot on how we move forward from here.
How do we get on that same page?
Well, real quick, the first thing we're sending out we've been sending it out for the whole week is our value statement, right? We believe that a core of any organization, whether it be NOI, whether it be a street organization, whether it be a church, is we start to agree on what our values are, right? And so we've been sending around that link, and right now we got over 1,000 people, Black men, who have signed on to the values. And once you build that core of values, then you can move forward, because at least there's a trust built that says, at least I know that this brother next to me sees the world and values the world in the way that I do. And so we've been sending that out, and we want and encourage brothers to go to that link to be able to sign on to the value statement. That's a first step.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Phil, it's interesting what you said, because like Donald Trump is trying to make a play for Black men. Like, he knows he doesn't have a shot with the Queens, but he's trying to make a play for Black men in November. Why do you think that? Why do you think he's targeting Black men specifically?
I mean, if we could keep it a buck, Donald Trump has had a plan for Black men for 20, 30 years. He's ingratiated himself into hip hop culture. He puts forward a level of masculinity and gangsterism that a lot of Black men who grow up in America, they love that. They love the fact that he runs and he moves the way that he does. And not least of which, the Democratic Party has never offered a viable option for the Black community. And so for me, what Donald Trump represents is somebody who has done a focus group on Black men for 20, 30 years through TV, through music, through his public persona. And he believes that Black men aren't critical thinkers enough. That's what it is. It's not that he respects Black men. He believes that Black men are foolhardy enough to believe that his personal persona is actually going to get them to vote against their self-interest, vote against Black women, vote against the Black community, vote against their kids. And so I think that's the central thing. It's based on the fundamental belief that Black men are fools, and that all we care about is fucking, all we care about is money, right? And those are the things, all we care about is braggadocio, and that's what he tries to represent. And so it's important for us to make sure that we are not used as pawns against ourselves and against our people like we have been. And not all of us is bad. That's, we wouldn't be doing this if we thought that. But the fact is, we have to engage in the world as an organized force. We've got to unite in a way that we have not in a generation.
What kind of conversations are you guys having behind the scenes when it comes to voting in the upcoming election?
We got to do what we got to do. I'm going to steal something from my sister, Derica Purnell, who's an incredible writer, a lawyer, comes out of Ferguson. This is the last dance. This is the last dance. We got to do what we got to do this year. Our strategy as Black people for the next generation cannot afford to have 4 more years of Donald Trump running amok in our country, right? On the other side, you have somebody who doesn't offer that much greater, but it's a different terrain. And we cannot continue to not think critically and say that these two people are the same. And you all, I think to a degree, at least Charlamagne, you know where I stand on the Democrats as well, right? But we also cannot fool ourselves, Angela, into believing that these two people present the same terrain for us to operate on. And the candidate over on the other side, who I'm not going to say neither one of their names, but the candidate on the other side of the Republican candidate provides a different terrain for us to operate and for us to organize on. And it's the last dance. It's the last time that we're going to engage in an election nationally, locally, statewide. If we're organized, that we're going to have to choose between that and that.
Yeah, I think that we can't afford 4 more years of white supremacy. And I think that one of the candidates, if pushed, and if Black people make demands, would be willing to go in there and dismantle the mechanism of white supremacy. Maybe.
I think that voting is just one part of these are the conversations that we're having. The voting is just one part of the political process. We know that it's not everything, but it's also not nothing. It's something that we have to use to prevent the worst of what's been seen by our people. And I think that what we see in the streets all around the country with protests happening in 50 states, in 18 countries around the world right now, is a representation of another piece of the fight that we have to do. You know, with all these people in the streets are creating a moment that not only with people that are risking and putting their bodies on the line, and calling for police to be defunded and stopping jails from being built and being expanded right now, that it's creating a moment that, you know, organizers, regular people are being able to represent Black people's identities and beliefs and demands in boardrooms, in the entertainment industry, in the creative world, in athletics, and all these different organizations are being forced to make statements that support Black people. And I think that this is just a really impressive and important, and I'm so inspired by this moment that's happening, because Black people are fighting in a lot of different ways right now. And we know that voting is one of those ways that we're going to fight.
You know, I like what you said as the last dance, but my only problem is with the last dance, I don't want people to feel like they have to go one way because we don't like this other way. You know what I mean? I don't like that way of conversation, even though I don't want that guy in there for the next 4 years, but I don't ever want him to feel like, I know you don't want him, so you gotta vote for me. You know what I mean? I don't like that way of talking and conversing. And the problem with that is people feel like they can get the Black vote and they don't have to do anything.
Yeah, we can't make a deal like that. We can't make a deal if the person just thinks, oh, they're gonna vote for us anyway because they're afraid.
Because the problem with that is I watch, you know, Black people tear down Kamala Harris when she said that she was running, right? And they said, oh, her history in California. They're not saying that right now. Not too many people are saying that when it comes to Joe Biden now. Then they said, oh, she's not Black.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. A lot of people aren't, but I am.
A lot of people aren't. So, you know, the same thing. I seen what they did to Kamala. Oh, she's not Black. She's married to a white man. Maybe she didn't go to Howard University. And I seen her attack this woman, right? Now, the same questions that they asked Kamala Harris are the same questions they asking Joe Biden. But when they ask Joe Biden these questions is, oh, well, who are you voting for? Are you voting for him or him? We're having the same conversation. What's the problem? So when we have these conversations, it's, oh, it's either this or that. No, it's not that. It's the fact that I want to vote for somebody that's going to benefit my community, that's going to help my community when it comes to real estate and mental health and healthcare and police brutality and all this. Just don't feel like, oh, I know you hate this guy, so you have to vote for me. It doesn't work like that. It can't work like that. It can't work like that. And I don't care who feels away, but you're not just going to take my shit and just say, oh, you're going to vote for me just because you don't like that guy. It don't work like that.
Tef, you want to get in before?
I mean, I couldn't agree more. Out of all three of us, y'all know I'm probably the one that's a little bit more cynical about the whole electoral process. So I feel like that's just what this moment represents, especially us coming together from different factions and different back walks of life. We're coming to a point where we're saying, look, man, like, we understand that it takes some sophistication in order to move forward. And all too often when people do talk about voting, the conversation isn't sophisticated. So you have to think about voting as if it's just one peg of the wheel of what we need to do. But just because you vote doesn't mean that you're ultimately politicized. It just means that you went to vote. there's an entire process that you need to carry out after that in terms of even like managing your political identity and your thoughts about how you can moving through the United States of America.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people like to say that they stay out of politics, especially like in the music industry and you know, entertainment at large. And where I differ from my brother Steve when he said about the statements is that I enjoy seeing the statements, but we've been getting a lot of statements from a lot of these people for years, man.
Decades.
And nothing has happened. So for me, it's really about the action. It's really about, I see Black millionaires on television using the language of the movement. We'll tap in with the movement for real then. You know what I'm saying? Last night, my little cousin was shot in St. Louis. An athlete by the name of Darius Houston was shot at a funeral in front of his mama. So like, when y'all talking to, like, so we really from the soil, you know what I'm saying? Like that pain is real. I had to wake up and get on camera to talk to y'all, knowing that I really couldn't even pull myself together this point. So for me, voting, whatever, man, you know, we're gonna do what we gotta do. It's a tool that we're gonna use to march up the field. But once we get to a certain point in the field, we're gonna pull out other tools. We got a lot of different things in the bag, and this is just the moment where we're at right now.
And Envy, if I can clarify, because I agree with you, right? But our entire purpose here is to say we deserve this year to engage in that conversation. They got to come earn it from us.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
But we deserve, and I want to repeat, I agree fully with you, because as we are scattered, though, that allows, while we beefing, while we fighting, while we can't get on the same page, that allows somebody who is on the outer rungs of senility to come out and say some wild shit on this show, to say some crazier shit yesterday, right? And because we're not on a line, we just want to engage in the process as an organized force, and then we can engage with some negotiations with them, right? And I do agree with Charlamagne and what my brother Tev said. I think we do have a particular opportunity. If Joe Biden is smart, he knows that he is one of the weakest Democratic candidates in recent memory. And he knows that he cannot continue to move in a way that continues to ostracize Black people and Black men, right? Absolutely not Black women. They already showed him that. And so we got to organize, and we got to be there as an organized force.
How do we move together more?
He's got to lean into Black people.
How do we move together more? And the reason I say that is you look at all these other communities, right? Mm-hmm. And you look at the Asian community. When they stand together, they go for one way, and they all go for that one way, right? Even the Jewish community, right? I do a lot of stuff in homes, right? And the fact that if I'm dealing with one Jewish person, I'm saying, hey, I need this, he can say, you know what? Well, my brother owns this, and I'll make sure he does this for you, because they can all stand together and make sure that happens. I feel like in our community, we don't do that. You know what I mean? We'd rather go at somebody first. Nah, I don't necessarily believe with that. How do we get our community together strong, where when we stand, we really stand, we all ride it? You know what I mean? It's easy to say. It's easy to say, and all day long we can go out and do it, but we don't really follow through. But you look at those other communities, whether it's the Asian community, whether it's the Jewish community, whether it's the Italian community, they stand. Us, it's like we don't have that full bond. Is it because we need stronger leadership? What do you think it is to make sure that we can all stand together and stand on one whatever that we're trying to do?
Well, I know all my brothers got to say. I'm gonna just take a small bite, and then I'm gonna leave some for the brothers. Look, one, we cannot ignore the fact that no other people has gone through a sustained effort of 400 years of systematic division, right? And so what we have had to withstand is actually quite impressive when you stack us up against any other general group of people, because we could talk all day about whether races exist and all that shit. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, the systematic program that we have withheld actually is a signal that we still have a great many connections and bonds within our people that have yet to be eradicated, right? So we still have something. So I still believe that. I'm internally optimistic. What I would say is, the fact is, when you want people to build a boat, you don't talk to them about the boat. You don't talk to them how fly the boat is. When you want people to build a boat, you get them to long for the sea. You get them to say, this is where I want to go. And I don't think that comes from one man, one charismatic dude, or a charismatic any identity, right? What I believe is it means us coming together and saying, this is where we see Black people in 5 years, and 10 years, and 15 years. And then you let people move along that thing. I think other people, very general, have a more general idea of what it means to preserve their culture in the midst of the American colonial project. And Black people still are forging that, and we made great progress. I still believe that.
Mm-hmm.
I think also, like what Phil is indicating, is that we just got to make organizing cool again. All too often, before the bodies drop, before the footage is on YouTube, before it's on your Instagram feed, before it's in Facebook, this work is occurring in your community. It's happening. There are
Right
people
now.
who wake up every day making pennies and say, how can I make this better? And all too often, if we keeping it real, especially in the hip hop culture, them be the niggas that we laugh at. People drive by laughing at them people. Like people don't care until it's time to care, until it becomes the trendy moment, until it becomes the flashpoint moment. So I think the thing that the civil rights movement did, even though it was a lot of elitism and it was flanked with a lot of things we could break down and really talk about, but they made it look good. They made it look cool. They stepped out the house looking like champions, knowing that they were representing the people. And I mean, when you think about the power that we had that's been diminished to the point where when Martin Luther King was killed, they had to call James Brown to the White House, right? Like in today's culture, that's equivalent to, you know, one of the presidents, somebody getting knocked from our community that's of high stature and they got to call the Migos to the White House. Like, we need that back again. We need that level of sophistication. We need that level of tap in. We need that level of dialogue.
We need leaders who aren't in entertainment.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're going to be in there, at least be tapped into the folks. If you are going to be an entertainer that is in the space of leadership and you are speaking for the people, at least tap in with the folk on the grassroots level and find out what's really going on.
Now, I think when you're an entertainer, you have a voice. You have to use that voice to point people in the direction of y'all brothers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Point people in the direction of the Angela Rye, the Mark Lamont Hills. You know, because it's not too many killer mics in the world who can do both. You know what I'm saying?
Nope. Mm-hmm.
That's a good.
No, I think that there's one more thing that's important to say when we're talking about our community standing together, is that we have to acknowledge that there are rifts and struggles that we're dealing with within our community that we need to face head on. Yep. You know, first off, I want to say that today is Breonna Taylor's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And while people around the country are fighting for George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland, a whole list of Black women, their murderers are still free right now. And in this past week, while people are on, you know, social media talking about police brutality that's talking to their communities, you know, I have a 3-year-old daughter. So when I log on and I also see Black women saying me too, me too, me too, me too, me too, and talking about sexual assault that has happened within our community by Black men, you know, there's a reason that Black women don't trust Black men. And we got to face that head on. We have to deal with some major issues within our community as well, so that we can move forward together.
And it's really hard for Black women, I think, to speak up because they don't get a lot of support. It's a lot of people saying, oh, well, why didn't she say this back then? Or, oh, she doesn't even look like somebody that person would do that to. Why would he want to do that? He's famous. He can get anybody he wants. There's a lot of doubt when women do decide to speak up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we want to say, and this is one of our values, that we are bonded with Black women and all Black people who are fighting for the true freedom of Black people. We have to end the hurt and pain that we cause and work together to heal and transform ourselves and our communities. And that's the only way that we're going to organize as a powerful force.
Mm-hmm.
I know you believe in the political process because you was I don't want to say surrogate because you had a title with Bernie Sanders, right?
I had a title for 2 weeks. Yeah.
He held it down though.
Look, there's no connection, but right when I got the title was when the campaign was you know, on the downward trend.
Why do you think Bernie couldn't connect with Black people?
Listen, one thing I'll say is, and I've said this a number of times, the values that we talk about were not Bernie's values that he was presenting to America. Those are Black values, right? Universal education came out of Black people, right? Universal healthcare comes out of Black people, right? So the values that he was talking about are already our values. So I want to say that first and foremost. This is not somebody who's presenting, he is representing, or he was representing our things. You know, I'm not giving a post-mortem on that campaign. What I will say is, if you consider yourself an organizer on the left, whether you're in the electoral field, whether you're in the protest field, if you are not a consistent, powerful presence in the lives of Black people on a daily basis, they're not going to move for you. right? And we've seen that over and over and over, no matter who is the candidate. If what we call the left, I'm a part of the left. I'm a radical leftist. I'm proud of it, right? But if we are not building organizations that are, once again, a consistent, powerful presence in the lives of Black people, and I said this in an article, Black people in Mississippi know Benny Thompson. Black people in South Carolina, they know, you know what I'm saying? When he put his finger on the scale, Clyburn put his finger on the scale, Black people moved. And no matter what you think about those brothers, and I have a lot of thoughts that's not for today, but they are a consistent presence in the lives of South Carolinians and Mississippians. And if you're in Georgia, you know John Lewis, right? And so we've got to continue to build a consistent force in their lives. And then no matter what candidate we put up, they're lighting kindle that we already laid out, right? And they're able to set the country on fire. So I don't know. I don't know fully why that campaign couldn't do what it needed to do to appeal to Black people in a way. I do know that a majority of Black people agree with the policies, agree with the platform, but also see a boogeyman at the door. And this was a moment where people had to make a decision between a boogeyman and maybe asking for the big thing. And we've been conditioned in this country that when it's fear, you know, we survival mode, Angela, we survival mode. It's only so many risks that people can take. And there's a lot of cats taking risk in life, right?
A lot of what happened too, Phil, was the outrage fatigue. You know, and like Donald Trump is an expert at breeding outrage fatigue. So it was a moment where things were being said. You even had a white dude on the bill talking about reparations. Like he's a billionaire talking about reparations. I thought that was going to register with Black people more. It just didn't. Mm-hmm. But it's like this, man. People like Tupac used to say, we hungry, we need some food, right? Sure. Show up and say it. Yo, I'm hungry, bruh. Bring me a plate.
Yeah.
Right? Cool. You come in here with your own plate, 3, 4, 5, 6 plates. Don't even got no plate for me. I'm looking. I'm like, oh, damn, it's like that. Mm-hmm. Each of y'all give me a little something off the plate. Cool, I eat it. I'm straight with it, but I'm still hungry. I need more. Y'all grubbing. Y'all got buffets up in this joint. Mm-hmm. We hungry. Can we get some more food? We hungry. You start dancing at that point. Can we get some food? You know what I'm saying? And there's still no food manifesting. People asked for all those things that Bernie was presenting. And I think what happened in that moment was a lot of people just got tired of asking. They got tired of, they were like, yo, I'm asking for this shit that I should already have. I'm pushing for these things that I should already have. And I'm burnt out. I've been pushing since whatever year. Y'all, you tapped in at this year. I've been pushing since Gen 6. You tapped in at this year. I've been pushing since 92. You tapped in at this year. I've been pushing since 65. It's just the continuation of the same push. Like, we not a new push. We not manifesting nothing new. We just the men who was born in this generation. But when things roll over, it's going to be some new people born of another generation. And hopefully they don't have to have the same conversation. But it all starts with the basic necessities and the basic needs of the people. And even right now, you see that where the outrage surrounding what the people want. And a lot of people are so disconnected from this moment. They like, what's happening? What's happening is regular, everyday people don't care no more. They've been asking, they've been saying things, they've been pleading, they've been being civilized. I mean, we went about this gracefully. Kaepernick got on both knees and pleaded with you. Minister Farrakhan warned you. You didn't listen. T.D. Jakes warned you. You didn't listen. Joshua Williams warned you. Political prisoner from Ferguson. You didn't listen. Darren Seals asked you and you killed them. So now you expect us to keep asking for the food? It's illogical. So people...
And not to mention, I think it's all divine. Everything you just said, I absolutely agree with. And I truly believe that until they do right by Black people, ain't no good gonna come to this goddamn country.
Nope. And go ahead. Somebody was getting in.
I was just going to say, and how much responsibility do you think that we have to make sure that we know what's going on and that we're more involved? Because a lot of people like say you don't even know who your local congressperson is, or, you know, you don't know what district you live in. You don't know your city council members, and you don't know those things, and you're not going to these meetings and not even really paying attention or voting in local elections. How important is it for us to be more involved, and how do we make that happen?
I mean, one of the projects of Black Men Build that we're developing, right, is a way to talk about these things in a way that's relevant, right? We don't bring the same energy that we bring to a new album release or a new sneaker drop that we bring to the other parts of our lives. And politics, I see a lot of people say, I don't fuck with politics. I say, politics fucking you every single day. It decides where you live, how you live, what school you go to. So I think for you all, Breakfast Club, and I think for all of us, these are crucial elements in our life that they hide away from us. And if you go to some of these meetings, you'll see it's two old people at the meetings talking about dogs, right? It's usually something about their dog or something about a sidewalk or a stop sign, right? And they getting busy. They're getting exactly what they want. And so the point I would push is we got to make it pop. We got to make it relevant to people. We got to show what power these people have. But we also got to realize that a lot of these politicians got elected with 200 votes, 300 votes. They are running around scared, looking over their back for Black people to get on the same page, because they know when we do, that there's a legitimate opportunity not only to affect your city and county and your state, but to take over the party, to do whatever you want. And I'm not an electoral motherfucker. I just decided that this was a strategic thing to do in the last year. But I do think we cannot avoid a whole area of our life where most of the decisions are made just because we feel like, oh no, I'm not buying into the system, my dude. You buy in the system every day, and you're gonna choose not to buy into that part because it's principle, but people are making decisions about your life.
That's the move they expect you to make too. I listen to y'all when y'all talk to Rush. I'm from Missouri. I grew up listening to Rush every morning on my way to school on AM radio. And as much as I disagree with him, I actually think sometimes he's a very sensible man. Because he's speaking clear for his people. He's never convoluted on his messaging. I wanted to see what he sounded like on the Breakfast Club. And he stuck to them good old Republican talking points. His PR people did a great job, dog. But the truth is, they don't expect us to be politicized. And so it's like balling in a lane and you know nobody's going to try to block the shot. So each time you could come down and do some Harold Miner shit and act like you Michael Jordan. You feel me? Because nobody's going to be a point of resistance. You know you can just skunk game somebody. And for me, I'm a resistor. So wherever you're trying to ball at, I'm going to show up to be a point of resistance for your ass. So it's like, I see what they doing, because like now the Midwest portion of the country is the new South, where people don't want to live there. The climates are different. We got to deal with winters. We ain't got no jobs. The gang banging in the Midwest is the real gang banging. It ain't just the Crips and the Bloods, and there's no disrespect to those tribes. We got thousands of gangs in the Midwest.
Block by block.
It's like the 1970s in the Bronx in the Midwest right now. So it's like, I see what's happening from a different lens than the average person, because I can't tap into no coastal elitism. I don't have summer 24, 365 out here. You know what I'm saying? Niggas is really starving. So it's like, I see the real game. I see what's happening. It's the same thing they doing in Palestine. It's the same thing they doing in Korea. It's the same thing they doing to the Arab world. When you see a little dude walk down the block with an AR-16, who put the AR-16 there? He's 16 years old. He's 12 years old. Who put the AR there? Like, so we start the conversation in the middle of the conversation, and that gives people the opportunity to frame Black Americans as if we aren't equally as oppressed as everybody around the goddamn world that is a person of color. So we don't get to participate in the oppression lineage until people see the riot, until people see you picking up the tear gas, and that's when they want to start texting Black Americans, we with y'all, rise up. Man, you wasn't with me when my baby mama had to apply for food stamps. Yep. You wasn't with me when my EBT card had nothing on it. So this is the reality of where we at. I'm saying to all the real people out there, the mandate that I'm on right now, outside of any organizational framing, is get real with yourself about what's going on. I'm tired of the GoFundMe funerals. I'm tired of the lack of acknowledgement of our divinity, our greatness. We came here already prepared to fight these motherfuckers. And if you tap out of the fight, you giving the greatest op we've ever seen, free round after free round after free round after free round after free round. And the book of Revelation says when the world finally sees who the devil really is, they're going to laugh at him and say, this is the puny, itsy bitty scrub that we let cause all this mayhem. And that's what I believe white supremacy is.
Question, right? You say you listen to Russ every day. Do you think it's even worth? Because I think he be performing. I don't even think that's.
Yeah, he was trying to stick to the script. I heard you when you kept pressing him on the white supremacy question.
You think it's even worth having a conversation with people like that?
Here's the reality. It's worth it if we start with the real history, because he said on his show and told a bunch of lies.
Yeah,
that's what I hated the most about when he was on here. He said some crap about the Constitution, about how it was the only civilized document. Well, the Haitians helped y'all write that document. Those Haitians that y'all brought over
they couldn't live up to
fought
that.
the Revolutionary War and actually won the Revolutionary War because they were colonized by the French, civilized men who went in there and helped you write that document, went back to Haiti and wrote the Articles of the Haitian Confederation.
Hold on, put me on. I never knew that.
Google it.
Yeah.
The Haiti.
This
Wow.
Google
this country does not exist without Haiti, right? And I think all of these people like Russ, to your question, I think he is of value to talk to personally, but I do not think he is of value to expose our people to. I'll say that.
Okay.
And I believe that singularly because just like as if you're a parent of a child, you want to make sure that you prepare them for the world before you expose them to all manner of shit, right? You want to make sure that our people have the political education that is required to engage with somebody who is a liar, right? Every single day. And so I think it's value. I'm an organizer, so I think it's value in talking to everybody, but in exposing our people to somebody who is ahistoric, to somebody who obviously has a mission and doesn't stray from that mission, as Tef said, I think it's potentially dangerous, right? Until we have prepared our people. Look, what you're about to see is somebody who is going to present you with all type of bullshit, right? We're presenting it to you for your critical discourse, right? We're presenting it to you to match up with the information that you already have. And so I think we have a duty to do, if we're going to do that, we got to do both. And I think y'all do a great job at that. That's not my dig.
I know that.
Right?
I love it.
Yeah, but I think we got a whole lot of work to do because they come to our people to take, to kill, steal, and destroy, right? But they rarely provide us those avenues that you all were afforded to go and talk to their people, right? To say your logic don't add up. What did you think about this? Why are you supporting a president who never had dirt under his fingernails, and you out here struggling, 2 teeth and all? Why they don't allow that to happen? They don't allow that to happen because that logic that we bring is indisputable.
And also, what we're presenting isn't really that far-fetched when you really think about it. The formation of this country, according to the history that they taught us in school, was we see and hear millions of protesters outside because Crispus Attucks got shot on the goddamn corner by the British. That sparked the American Revolution. George Floyd, strangled to death on camera by a vicious killer. Straight up, I heard Envy call him a devil, and I then it flipped out because it was devilish. But they tell us we wrong for doing the same thing that they did. You revolted. You revolted, but I'm wrong for going to get mine. It's crazy. It's an unbalanced relationship. And what we got is a 400-year abusive relationship with a person. And when you are in an abusive relationship, you don't wait till you find a new partner to get out the relationship. Like, you get out the relationship and start working on yourself. So that's what we're trying to ask our people to do. That's what we're trying to ask ourselves to do. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on, give me this thing. Give me this info to Google. I got some homework I gotta do.
The Boston Revolution. Google a lot of the Haitians in Boston. I didn't know this until I went to Harvard. But I had a Haitian Uber driver, and he was like, yo, you don't know about Haiti and the Revolutionary War, do you? I said, I had no clue. So he drove me around, showed me all these monuments and stuff. And basically, there was a charter from the French to help the colonizers fight the war over here. People don't realize for years they were losing that war. These people couldn't even plant corn. So how was they going to fight the greatest army on the planet at that time? Mm-hmm. So the French sent soldiers over here. The soldiers that they sent were Haitian soldiers. They didn't send white dudes from Paris. They sent Haitian soldiers who came down and fought that war. George Washington took the keys from the military from the Haitians. He inherited his military from the Haitians.
And real quick, Charlemagne, furthermore, if Haiti isn't fucking up the French, then the French don't have to engage in a deal for the Louisiana Purchase. Mm-hmm. Napoleon is hurting for money. And so the revolution there, this country, as murderous, genocidal to the indigenous people, everything this country believes about itself actually doesn't happen without world events, many of them precipitated by the Haitian people. Napoleon was losing so bad that he had to sell Louisiana to the US. And that is how the country becomes what it is, in addition to the massive murdering of indigenous people and enslaving the African.
Wow. Absolutely. I like that. It's my type of conversation. Thank you for the information that I can go research today.
Thank you guys for joining us this morning.
And where can people find all this information online so they know how they can get in touch with you guys?
So today and moving forward, you go to www.blackmen.build, www.blackmen.build. Today, sign the pledge, align with our values. You'll be seeing a lot more from us on Monday. Black men all over the country are going to be standing together. So go to www.blackmen.build. You can grab the survival guide on Monday, but today, sign the pledge and share it with your family.
Blackmen.build?
.build.
And do y'all take donations?
We will.
Okay.
We will.
Dot like D-O-T or, huh?
Just dot. Just a period.
Okay.
Instead of com, we got build.
Got you. Okay, got you. All right.
Or you can go to Twitter or Instagram at Black Men Build, and you'll find the website in the profile.
All right. Well, thank you, brothers, for joining us.
Appreciate y'all, man. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
Appreciate y'all for having us. Thank you.
And thank you, Tef. I know it was a tough day for you to get up this morning, so we do appreciate you for that.
Absolutely. Blessings to your family, Tef.
Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
All right, y'all.
Y'all.
Love y'all.
Breakfast Club, good morning.